Hey, welcome back to the Benedict Challenge. Today I'm going to be talking about another buzzword associated with intermittent fasting, which is autophagy. You might have heard it pronounced autophagy or autophagy. It's pronounced autophagy, and it literally just means self-eating or self-digesting in Greek. This is a mechanism that was discovered in the 1960s, and there was actually a Japanese researcher who won the Nobel Prize in 2016 for his research related to these little vesicles, autophagosomes, that go around looking for certain proteins which have been marked out specially for degradation because they no longer fulfill their purpose. Autophagy takes your oldest, most degraded proteins and breaks them down into immediately usable energy when you don't eat food. So, intermittent fasting is the shortcut to getting into autophagy. It can upregulate autophagy by up to 5 times. It takes a little while to get there, but once you're there, you're cleansing out your body. And this is part of what I'm talking about with the church's renewed appreciation for the bodily aspect of faith. You have spiritual writers talking about the spiritual cleansing that takes place with fasting, such as St. Augustine, who writes that fasting cleanses the soul, raises the mind, subjects one's flesh to the spirit, renders the heart contrite and humble, scatters the clouds of concupiscence, quenches the fires of lust, and kindles the true light of chastity. We can also look back even further to the Desert Fathers and these great Palestinian monks who were noted both for their fasting disciplines and for their long lives. St. Pachomius, St. Anthony. These were men who were incredibly holy and lived a long time because, in addition to cleansing their soul, their fasting practice was purifying their bodily tissues through this process that we now know as autophagy. So let's just review what's going on. Basically, you're tricking your body into thinking that it's under siege. It's what's called a hormetic stressor. And in this case, the stress of perceived famine is what leads to these cellular repair mechanisms. And it's speculated that this is why humans evolved to live longer, is our ability to respond to biological stressors beneficially. Autophagy can provide fuel and building blocks for the renewal of cellular components, and it's essential for our cellular response to starvation and other types of stress. After an infection, autophagy can eliminate intracellular bacteria and viruses. And autophagy also contributes to embryo development and cell differentiation. Our cells use autophagy to eliminate damaged proteins and organelles. It's basically a quality control mechanism, counteracts the negative consequences of aging. It's kind of like the Marie Kondo of our physiology, get rid of things, the art of tidying up. When you're fasting, you get an increase in these autophagosomes, these little vesicles that travel around and seek out and eat the portions of the cells and the proteins that are no longer serving their function. Autophagosomes convert this waste into energy within a cell. And we can still activate some level of autophagy when we're in a fed state, but it's only occurring at an extremely low level. So it's not very therapeutic, and it doesn't give you the anti-aging benefits of longer-term fasting. In a fasted state, the rate of autophagy can increase by 5-fold or more. It takes time to trigger autophagy through fasting, but you can get there quicker if you are already keto adapted or fat adapted. Dr. Jason Fung estimates that if you're eating a standard American diet and your glycogen stores are full from eating, say, 50% of your calories from carbohydrates, it's going to take you 2 to 3 days to really reach peak autophagy. Not impossible, but it's also not easy. If you're eating a low-carb, maybe paleo diet that's higher in protein but isn't getting you into nutritional ketosis, then it will take around 24 hours for the body to burn through glucose and glycogen storage. If you're eating a low-carbohydrate, moderate protein, and high-fat ketogenic diet, then you can get into autophagy and ketosis in just 14 to 16 hours. So you can do it really through this practice of just daily intermittent fasting. That's why I recommend fasting and ketogenic diets as a kind of power combo. They're helping your body adjust during this period of the switchover And it might take you some number of weeks before you become fat adapted, but trust me that if you do this long term, your body is going to be thanking you. It's going to be running a much cleaner, leaner version of yourself. There is one other way to trigger autophagy while still eating both carbs and fat, and that's called periodic protein restriction. And this comes from a man named Dr. Ron Mignery, but it's been popularized by Josh Whiten. And Josh Whiten talks about periodic protein restriction as a kind of a hack, as a way to restrict just proteins, so it's still forcing your body to rely on these old junk proteins, degrading them for energy, without so much hunger that you might experience from long-term fasts. So you can give either one a try, but my personal recommendation is to try to stay in ketosis as much as possible and do the daily intermittent fasting until you're comfortable going for 14 to 16 hours a day. That way you're going to be getting regular autophagy, cleansing your body, cleansing your spirit.